have here is a Twixel Media Publishing app. And we've built, Bob Davison has been an associate of mine for 35 years. He's wonderful with technology and creative, and he's been gracious enough to help build this Bible Students app in Chinese. So far, we've got a lot of content translated into Chinese. We have volumes 1, 2, 3, and 6 of Studies in the Scriptures translated into Chinese. We also have the New Testament of the Holy Bible from the Revised Version. And we also have Brother David Rice's 2043, the 20-page version and the 4-page version of 2043. Plus we have God's Grand Plan of the Ages. Now, all of the volumes that we have translated into Chinese are translated into both simplified and traditional Chinese. Now, what this app is going to be, it's a publishing platform that's going to provide, that Bob has created to provide a home for an app to be published to the Droid Play Store, to the Apple App Store, or on the web. Bob, is that a fair explanation?
That is correct.
Okay, so what we have here is simply a placeholder. We don't have it fully provisioned with all of the content. But Bob, why don't you tell me what to do, and I'll tap and we can explore this app as it is right now.
Okay, so essentially what we have, first of all, to start with the content, is we had a lot of PDFs that had all the content kind of held within that. And this platform that we chose basically is a publishing system that allows you to create articles. And you can, what's nice about this is the articles can be of any type of content. So they can be video, PDFs, they could be HTML files, so forth. But it allows multiple contributors essentially to submit content there with a little bit of metadata. And it actually draws out the interface if we just choose the default stuff, which is what we see here. And it's in a card style. So we have a banner at the top, we have some sub-feature cards there in the middle. If we scroll down, we have a few other things, some categories like books, audio, some video, and then if there's some also maybe popular issues that we might have at the bottom. But this thing does support like collections, and that's what we have at the top left. So the Studies in the Scriptures, that is a series of issues. And when we select that, you will have a choice to open any one of these. And again, these are PDFs, so go ahead and tap on one of those. And this will load. There is support for offline caching of this content as well. So we have a lot of options to choose from when we load this content. And as you can see, it's essentially a nice swiping interface, basically reading. I believe, Todd, you have that in probably horizontal format.
Yeah, is that okay? You want me to change it to vertical?
That's fine. And what the nice thing here is we can read it as a 2-page instance, or we can do it as single pages and swipe through that way as well. At the top of the navigation, you can see we're in the collection of Studies in the Scriptures, and we're reading volume 1. We have some icons at the top, and the first one is for sharing. So if you're viewing any of these articles, we can actually set this up where you can share this content out to a lot of different things, including social media. So you can share this out on Facebook or Twitter and those types of things. And it'll send a link with a little bit of description to it. And those links, we can link them directly to these articles or other websites. So those are all configured on the back end pretty easily with each of these files that we upload. The next thing we see there is a search. So the nice thing about PDFs, it's a full text search in the entire document because it is live text, and it'll essentially give you results on all the pages that the word that we search exists. So there you go. That's on page 193.
Oh, so it's all the Gentile Times.
It will actually take you directly to that.
Yeah. So I need a better search term. Let me search on. How about atonement? So what we can do is find atonement in several different places and click on either one of those. We're going to click on page 65, and it's going to go right to page 65.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks, Bob. What is the four dot menu up there on the right?
So that is a grid view of each individual page or spread, depending on how you're viewing. So this is just another way to navigate to specific pages.
So if I read up to page 96 and I have to get off the train because I'm at my stop, can I come back to this page when
Yes,
I'm?
absolutely. And as a matter of fact, there's another option in here where we have each of the chapters are all bookmarked automatically. So you can actually jump to a particular chapter within each of these publications.
Oh, so that's part of the prep work that you've done.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's tell me a little bit about the metadata that you've put into these PDFs to make them more productive in an app.
So with the PDFs, they're a little bit easier because the system automatically collects all that content and makes it searchable. Some of the other content that is like image-based content, you can put some text in with those into just a few metadata fields, and those become searchable as well. So you can search within a particular issue, or you can search the entire app, and it'll actually bring up multiple issues that might have that search term in it.
Okay, by the way, if see this image on the left, immortality applied. If I search on that text, will it come back to this page?
If that is live text, it will.
Okay, let's try it just for fun.
And it may be live. Yeah. It may be
Immortality
live.
applied. Look at that, it even gives the figure. Okay, good work, Bob. Keep going.
The last icon you see up there, that is the full bookmark listing for the entire issue of this article. So you can see there, those are all divided into their individual chapters. So those will be quick ways to jump around in the navigation as well.
Okay, one more question for you. What do you call that little menu that looks like a four square that I used to play in elementary school?
There's a lot. Google uses it as an application icon, but in this case, it is a grid view.
What are the other uses of this grid? What are the other uses of this other than just to be able to scroll quickly through the book?
For the grid view, well, so it's kind of like a card view that you see in the rest of the interface. So as we build these collections of content and issues, it's a familiar view that people can easily navigate with. So it's more graphical version.
Okay. Okay, good. What should I do next? By the way, we have this content in English, and obviously the spelling is wrong, but keep in mind that Bob has simply just done all of this work for free based upon the proposal that I'm going to make to our ecclesia. Bob, what should we do? What should we do next?
For if we look at the God's grand plan of the ages, now this looks like kind of a feature, but this is a single issue. So in this case, instead of showing you options, it goes right into the article. And,
options, you mean for like Chinese or Japanese or whatever?
Correct. Or any other versions of this issue, whether it's a language version or maybe there's an abbreviated version.
Okay, by the way, we have this in English, Portuguese, Japanese, and then both Chinese languages and others that I don't know of, I'm sure.
Yeah, and this works the same way, just swipes or using some of the navigation and searches at the top. There is pinching and zooming, so you can also get very, very close to some of the content if necessary.
Okay, yeah, it's dynamite copy. David would like that.
Yeah, it stays super sharp.
Okay,
if we go back, let's go back to the main page. And so the Millennium Kingdom, that's another collection. There's two versions. There's an abbreviated version. I think it's called the Seminar Edition, and then the full edition there. So again, these are just PDFs, but because of their nature, they appear very crisp and sharp on screen, and obviously sharing and navigating these are pretty simple.
Okay, so if we wanted to publish this obviously throughout the world, we could have any language of content in here that we would want, correct?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And depending on where you want the app to be available. So Apple does support different storefronts, so you can actually host your app in different countries.
So what did you call that, an Apple what?
It's the Apple Store.
Okay.
It's the iTunes store. Your app can have a multi-language to it, but you also need to have it submitted to these different stores, which is easy enough to do.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
other thing, we have some placeholders, so books and audio. These are things for like podcasts, and maybe we have an entire library of all the issues in the book section. So you can see there's nothing there yet, but we did put some stuff in the video section. Um, and in this section, what we did is Todd did a series of videos, and these are all on YouTube. And what's nice about this platform, there's a couple ways we can deal with videos. So we could either embed them directly in, and they will be native in the app, or we can actually just attach links or the YouTube IDs, just plug those in and they just pull them live. So as long as you have internet access, you'll be able to view these videos that way. This is a very quick and easy way to get content in. There's no real development involved. It's really just a matter of creating an article and applying that code, just that little YouTube code, and it just pulls it right in.
Okay. Do you recognize that guy, Bob, on the right?
Yeah, he's on meeting.
Yeah, that was dynamite. I'm still getting really great comments for that issue or for those videos. So one of the things that, what is the benefit of having these a YouTube link rather than embedded in the app, Bob?
Well, it keeps the app pretty light. So what this app really is no different than like an Acrobat Reader. Acrobat Reader is simply a tool that reads PDF files. And this acts the same way. This is just an empty app that is hosting links to videos. So it's very light. There's not a lot of memory used in it. Now we're using PDFs for the other content, but even that remains light. And like I said, there is an ability to cache content in the app. So as the app actually downloads to the user, it's already loaded with content. Otherwise, this just is a vehicle to read content. So as new content's posted, notifications go out to all the users, and the notification will show up on the app, and they'll see that there's new content. They simply open the app and they'll have access to it.
Okay. Now, is there I guess if I wanted to get analytics on these videos, I would have to put it on a website like Bitly to be able to get analytics. I wouldn't be able to get analytics out of Twixel Media Publisher, could I?
You absolutely can. So Twixel has, which is the platform we're looking at here, every piece of media that is posted in here as an article, they will take metrics on how many times it's been accessed, and even in some cases show the pathway on how the user got there. But what's nice about it, by media type and article, you can get all kinds of reporting to see what content is being accessed the most.
Okay, great. So by the way, thanks for doing this, Shell. And is there anything else we should look at? Does this banner with this beautiful scene do anything for us?
So there's a lot of options with this platform. So we're just using the default grid system that the interface provides, but we can actually customize any page that we see in here. One of the things I really like about this platform, it's kind of meant to be a low code or no code type of platform, but it does take a lot of HTML. So anything that we want to do or can do, or we have content in other websites, we can pull it in, and that's what makes it very flexible.
Okay, very good. So let's review a few things. I thought maybe I would stop sharing the screen, but let's talk about some of the reasons why we're doing this in the Twixel Media platform versus a app builder platform like Brushfire or something like that. One of the things that you told me that the Twixel Media would be able to do is it would have somebody with my skill level be able to add content and update it frequently. Is that true?
That's correct. So it allows for, like I said, a low code or no code option where you can have multiple contributors of content be able to post content and then have another admin and simply edit it if necessary and then actually publish it.
Okay, so let's say Brother David Rice wanted to give a series of let's just say he wanted to do an open seminar on 2043, the publication, he could even do that himself and upload it to the platform?
Yes, correct. In fact, if you see here on your screen, you can see several of these things are unpublished at this point. So that's one of the nice things. This version of the app that we're using is basically a testing app. So we can actually see content even if it's not published. And then once we feel that it's appropriate and good to go, then we simply publish that article, and then it becomes available for all the users.
Okay, so I cannot do that at this point because I don't have the publishing engine on my computer, correct?
Well, and it doesn't need to be on your computer. It's all in the cloud, which is
Oh,
also nice. So that's why you can have multiple contributors upload content anywhere in the world.
okay. Um, so the easy updating was a big feature. And also, if we were to build this in a app platform like Buildfire, one of the constraints, as I understand it, with an app platform like that is that the content is within that component and nowhere else. But if we do it in a publishing platform like Twixel Media, then it's a way to be able to publish the app on multiple devices. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so some of these like Buildfire and other platforms, they will let you publish to, for example, an iOS app or an Android app, or to a progressive web app. But very few allow you to do multiples at the same time. And also, once you're in that platform, you're kind of building it in that tool, and the content's kind of captured and captivated into that tool. What I like about the publishing platform versions is that they try to be agnostic of the output. So they allow you to focus on managing content and then allow you the controls to publish them at will or on demand. And then they can publish to different media devices. So you can, in this case, this content will be used for both Android and iOS tablet devices. It also is already set up to be on mobile. So there is a mobile view for all these pages. And there is essentially just a switch on the platform that if you want to make this a web-enabled site itself, that's another option. And it does carry a lot of the same functionality that you'll see here with the groups of content and being able to select them and swipe through on your desktop if you wish.
Okay, let's say that we wanted to use this single app as a publishing platform for many different languages. I'm not sure of that yet because right now I have it. You can see the two Chinese characters in the top right corner of that banner. Those are the characters for both simplified and traditional Chinese that mean heavenly light. So this is what I was thinking that we would call this app Heavenly Light, but that was simply something that the Chinese translator recommended because it would mean something in the Chinese culture. But let's say we want to publish this worldwide, and if we go to this page right here, instead of having the God's Grand Plan of the Ages come up in just English like this, I think you mentioned earlier that it could come up in any language with a menu that would look something like this. Is that correct?
Yeah, in fact, if you go to the home page and then click your menu at the top right corner, this is a master menu. So right now it's kind of needs a little cleanup, but the idea here is right now we separated the content by language. So if you tap on the second one, for example, you'll get a whole different landing page. It's kind of mimicking the original one, but it's all in Chinese. So we can actually have either the content itself, when you go to read one of these articles, have an option to select the language there, or in this case, we have entire home pages that are separated the content that way.
That's awesome. I mean, I am in love with this. So here we have the desktop versions of the Chinese Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Volume 3 is not desktop published yet, but Volume 2 in Chinese. I'm going to open this up because David and Roland will get a kick out of this. By the way, check out the quality of that. Isn't that unbelievable? That's a PDF. That's what PDF will get you. Bob, are you a genius, Bob Davison?
I try to put a lot of the tools we try to use at where I work is we try to put a lot of tools in creatives' hands, and I kind of become that liaison between the technology and the creative to kind of blend the two together when I can.
Well, this is dynamite. So I did an English search in a Chinese book, and look at that. I guess it found it in the
The index, yeah.
well, that's kind of cool. So this would work well for Chinese people that wanted to learn English, that like Abraham Lincoln reading the Bible by the campfire. So this is 2043 in Chinese.
Correct.
Okay. So we could do this in any language we wanted.
Yeah. Now, there's other opportunities that could be had too. Like what could happen doesn't need to happen. I think this is a good start, but a lot of this content then can become native and live as HTML content rather than fixed PDFs, fixed page sizes.
What would be the benefit of that?
What'll happen in that case is the pages then will become optimized for any device. So right now, as we're looking at this, you can see that this is roughly an 8.5 by 11 page because it came from a printed piece. And it tries to keep it in that format. It's a fixed size. It doesn't move or do anything, but it will scale to fit that page. When it's live content, then we have other opportunities where the content can be responsive. Like in this case, you have a 2-column here, but maybe you don't want a 2-column view. Maybe you want a single column view of these paragraphs.
Well,
so,
how would you convert a PDF into HTML content and retain the images in line with the text?
It's just HTML. So a lot of the images are in line anyway. So those will be easy integrations in HTML.
Okay.
Also, you'll have a lot of live text. The other things you can do are things like SEO optimization, where people can actually find that type of content. Plus that content, if it's in HTML, it's flexible for other website applications. So on your former website here, that you can actually take that same content and host it anywhere. It just happens to be also available inside here. So it just means that the content is more flexible. Right now, we're using a nice flexible publisher, but the content itself is not as flexible.
Okay, so it would require your intervention to do the HTML, convert the PDFs into HTML, or is that something that I could do?
You can have anybody kind of do that. It's going to require a little bit of HTML skill to get some of that content over, but essentially there's a lot of low-code options to do that as well. It's just building pages. Okay,
what else should we learn about with this thing? Let's go back to this menu at the top right corner and click on that. So this would be a place for you to click into any language, content in any language.
And that's what it's currently used for, but this is a menu that's completely customizable by the admin. You can actually go in there and add any content as part of the root navigation. Okay. In this case, I limited it to just those 3 sections, but it could be anything. And also you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, you can always go use the back button, a lot like a web browser, so you can go back to the home page.
Okay, so if I owned heavenlylight.com, is that where this could live on the web?
Sure, this could be set up to, you can set it up as a, I forget what they call that, but you can do a direct link to it, or you can view it in another viewport on that other site. There's multiple ways you can do it. What's nice about it is though Twixel does it will host it. It'll host the web version in their cloud services, which is using a CDN network, which means all your content's replicated for distribution.
Okay, so Twixel Media Publishing is a platform. It's a publishing platform that costs about $2,000 a year, maybe $2,500 a year for the license to operate it. I think we will get a 25% discount because we're a nonprofit church organization. Bob, can you tell me, are there any downsides of using the Twixel platform instead of like Brushfire or an app builder?
No, this is, like I said, this is a really easy to use entry point for anybody. It's got a lot of advanced features too because it can support HTML. So you can pretty much do whatever you want in here.
Okay. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to talk about. QR code, we can basically publish a QR code inside the front page of any publication, slip it inside a Chinese grocery store, and then they could easily get the app with their iPhone or iPad or computer by
Sure,
scanning it.
and because it's an app, it is really a native app. So keep that in mind. That allows us to use other tools to take advantage of the device's capabilities, such as using the camera for them to be able to submit content. They can also, we can also do some geofencing and find out, give their location and get them information to go to a nearest place they want to congregate or visit. So there's a lot of things we can do in the app. And also keep in mind, that $2,500 a year, that's unlimited content. You can publish as many articles or books or videos, host anything you want in here. That's unlimited.
Okay, great. Well, Bob, thank you for your diligent work supporting the Bible students' effort. Really appreciate you're the one that came up with this idea, and you put this together at no cost so far. And I'm going to submit a budget to get this executed. So listen, I really appreciate your help. What I'd like to do is turn it over or open it up for the next 10 minutes for any questions that David or Roland or John Beval has.
I've listened with great interest, but very little understanding. So I'm impressed. And let me defer to people with a little clearer focus on such things, like Brother Roland or Brother John in particular.
Brother John, I know you signed in late. I don't know how long you were waiting, but if you would have any questions, please go ahead. Roland, what are your thoughts?
I will wait for John.
But I'm sorry I joined in late. I had a meeting at work. But this is a platform like a content management, right? Where you do everything from the cloud and then it automatically gets pushed to the app, something like that, right?
Yeah, it's a publishing platform.
Okay, okay.
Much like Mag Plus or some of the European systems.
Very well. Okay. And you will support the updates to the app and everything, right? Because it's almost like an app that it's being done for multiple users, right? And
yeah, so what's nice about this, it does support entitlement. So if you needed to separate content from different users and use a login, for example, to get that, you can do that. This was actually kind of inspired and then founded from magazine subscription platforms where you could buy a series of issues for a period of time, and you would get full access to those, and then limited access to those that you can preview, for example. So there's like a paywall to some content. This is really an extension of that. They've just moved it beyond just magazine type subscription model.
And what's the name of it one more time?
It's Twixel Media.
Twixel?
Yeah, TWIXL.
And it's twixelmedia.com. So it's in the invitation that you received in the notes.
Sounds good. And as new updates come in, this is a yearly subscription, right, Brother Todd?
Yes, $2,500 a year in that range.
Yeah, that's very reasonable. And you support also audio and video as well?
Bob, you mean audio and video? You mean like recordings like you see on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's, Bob, John came in a little bit late. Do you mind if I take him through here?
No, don't, but it's not necessary.
No. Listen, let me give you a 5-minute overview because David Rice forgets half of what we said, right, David?
Yes, that's quite true.
Okay, so this is by the way, Bob Davison put this together just for this video. I'm recording a video for our ecclesia so I can present it for funding purposes. We've named it Heavenly Light. You can see the 2 characters in the top right corner. We haven't done anything with this top banner with the beautiful scenery, the landscape photo. But if we go to this top right menu item on the top right, we can see, we can look at it in English or Chinese. We can click on, well, I guess this one is directing towards Chinese, but we can go towards, basically we have different language sets that we can click on from that menu item. Going down to the picture of Pastor Russell, we can click on that and we can have articles in here. Let's just open up Thy Kingdom Come, and it's going to cache it into this app from the cloud, I think. Bob, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
But we have a 2-page spread we can look at, or we can turn the iPad vertically and take a look at it. We can pinch and zoom. It's a PDF at this point, but Bob says that we can turn it into a HTML also.
Okay.
But so that is a feature. Then we can go down to the video. We're going to click on this video button in the bottom right corner, and we can see that Bob has put a link in there to the Israel PBI Herald Magazine seminar that we did in April, and we can click through to either any video and
I'd like to welcome
go ahead and watch it. Now, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there are some analytics that Twixel captures, even though that video is housed on YouTube.
Yeah, so essentially what happens is, being a publishing platform, each of these pieces of content is loaded as an article, and you just put a little bit of metadata against it, like titles and authors and stuff like that. And we can bundle them in collections like we did with the studies in the scriptures. But essentially at the end of this, all the content is hosted in the cloud. The user has an app that is essentially a shell. It's a reader. So as new content becomes available, there'll be notifications at the app level. It says new content's available. They can click on it. It'll download it. We also have options to pre-cache content or cache the entire set of content on the device as well. But the way it's kind of natively built, it only downloads and uses what the user asks for. So, but it could be done either way. So there's a lot of, it's a nice low code option, especially for contribution of content, because it doesn't take a lot of skill to do it. Everything's article based. So you just pick an article, upload it, give it a title, tell it where you want it to show up. And as you can see here, this app that we're using to show it on is a testing app. So you can see there's a lot of this content's not published. So you can use this as a staging environment to test it first. And then once you think the content's good to go, you just simply click a publish button, and then it becomes available to everybody. So what I like about this, it's really on demand. If you wanted to get something up quickly, you just go to the cloud service, upload your content, publish it, and then everyone gets notifications immediately.
Yeah, sounds good. And is it for iOS or Android as well?
It supports the exact same content on the back end. We'll publish both to iOS and Android, as well as a web interface that mimics the app.
Yeah. And the price is for both platforms, right?
Yes, it's all inclusive, including the website.
And the app will be published under the user's Apple account or under yours or under?
So as far as development, so the business I work for, we are an Apple developer as well as an Android developer. So, but we can, when we build the app, so the app itself, Twixel actually has an app builder component to it. So we don't have to build the app. And they actually keep up with all the software updates on the both Android and iOS side. So what's nice about this platform too is I can configure that app to turn on or off certain features native to the devices. And I can simply just click a build button and it does a new build for the new service, right? The new operating systems. So I don't need, that's an additional low code option. You don't need to be a super tech, but as you may or may not know, Apple requires certificates for everything. So whoever you want that certificate to be licensed under, we could use any name to do that.
No, I think, Brad, Todd, this is perfect. That's exactly what you need. It's very easy to maintain. I remember looking into something like this. It's
Adobe
maybe a
A-
little bit harder if you want to do custom stuff, but what you need to do, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's actually this is the the low cost version of Adobe's platform. They had a digital publishing suite platform that turned into AEM, and now it's become their sites platform. But this is exactly the same way. It was a kind of a magazine subscription publishing platform that they turned into we use it a lot for sales enablement and business. So, but it's perfect for this type of publishing.
Hey, Bob, one question. So we have a Bible that my uncle Jim Parkinson translated. Actually, it's the revised version. He took the revised version from 1905 and updated it with the latest manuscripts and the footnotes and such. How would that be published on this app? And would it be a nice interface? Would we be able to do a nice interface for that Bible with this platform?
Absolutely. Like I said, one of the nice things about this platform is it supports any kind of source content. So depends on how we want to build that Bible piece, if it's a PDF already, or if we want to build that in HTML. And obviously with HTML, you have endless possibilities, right? So we can use a lot of JavaScript, do some micro interactions if you really wanted to bring this to life. I can tell you one of the things that we did on this platform as we used it, we did build a lot of user experience in them. As you can see here, this is more of a just card-based displays, and we're reading static PDFs, but we could build a lot of this content natively in HTML, which could have some animations going on. You can have embedded videos and some other things within the articles as you're reading them. So there's a lot of interactivity that can be brought in, even just micro interactions from the user side. And it's amazing, what interaction you gain when you put some of that stuff in, because now the users want to come back to it, right? They feel like they have some control over the content and they're affecting it as they're absorbing it.
Brad, Todd, is this your iPad?
Oh yeah, my iPad. I'm reflecting this on my iPad. You can see it right here.
Oh, okay. No, but who is sharing it? Are you sharing it?
I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it on my screen.
Okay. I think, Bob, what Todd is asking is, if you put a Bible, most of the users would like to quickly jump to John 3:16, right? So there are a lot of links in there. So I think that's mainly your question, Brother Todd, right? If you can quickly jump to a scripture, because if you have it just as a PDF, it would be very hard to actually move where you want to move into a 1,000-page book. And we have it. We have that Bible as a HTML. We have it as a SQL, as a CSV. We have it as a whatever you would like, but
Right.
we just don't know.
Yeah, it could take HTML. So if you've already got it in that format, we could just load it in with that. And like I said, once we load it in, we can even determine where do you want it to show up in this card interface. It could be, there's several different views here, but like could be features, sub-features. Like I said, in the bottom, I just had individual articles. We can break this page up any way we want. But there could be some really easy, quick access ways to get there. And I would love to see an HTML article in here, actually, just to show you, how it can be responsive to the screen.
Well, how much effort would that be for you to put that thing in here, Bob, in the next week or so?
You mean the Bible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have that as a HTML package?
PDF.
So, No, we have it, Brother David. I have it as a, I have it as a HTML. I have it as a
okay.
CSV. So,
Yeah.
but Brother Todd, do you have Christian resources installed on that iPad?
Yeah, you want me to, yeah.
Yeah, do you mind to pull that up just to give give
Yeah.
Bob an example of? So, yeah, so if you go to Bible commentary books on the left, yeah. So this is the RVIC. So it's basically, right now it's just reading it. So I think what Brad Todd, what you want is to actually like you go to tap on Genesis 1:1, and then you will get an option to, did it crash or something? Yeah, so you get an option to actually jump where you would
Right.
like to jump. I think Bob, this would be very hard to accomplish, right?
It shouldn't be. I mean, if this is currently working in HTML,
No, this is custom code here where
Gotcha.
it's everything SQLite and everything queries straight in the database and stuff.
so we could do that as well. So the system can store stuff on the back end, and we can use some development tools that actually stores the content as you kind of are storing it here and access it the same way. So there is an option to do that. It's not technically, we're not technically limited to just source content that is ready for publishing. We can use some back-end database type, like a JSON file, and just kind of pull that in.
Okay.
Okay, your interaction is extremely valuable, John. I'm in the eSword now. Would we be able to link to the eSword Bible, Bob, instead of housing it?
Yes, so we can link it as long as there's a URL to get to it. We could link to it.
Okay. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I just thought I'd ask the question. And the other thing we have here is okay. Roland, do you have any questions or answers or thoughts?
Yeah, I appreciate very much the work, and I see the foundation work is very good, and first version can go on. My first question or concern will be, as we speak about Chinese, I think mostly, Google is not open for Chinese. Is there any way to get the Android store and Android app to publish into our Chinese app markets with this tool?
You know, I would have to talk to my guy about that. But there are millions of Chinese speaking people outside of mainland China that we would market this to. So, and also in the United States, so both simplified and traditional. So you ask the goose with the golden egg question, and the answer is, I don't know. And I don't think Bob knows either, unless you do, Bob.
So the question is, can we, where can we publish the app?
Yeah, if you can publish in a Chinese app market, not just iStore. And iStore is in China, but Google app is not open in China. They can do it, but you know they need to do effort to do it. But just
Yeah, and I know the I've read some interesting things about the China's access to their store, and they monitor the content over there, so your apps could get denied even if you had access to get in. Apple does that actually. They have a pretty rigorous testing environment too, but Twixel's apps, because it's simply a reader, they usually don't have problems passing through their approval system.
Oh, really?
Another-
That's interesting. Go ahead, Roland. David?
Another thing I heard about notifications. Do you mean there could be implemented like push notifications like widgets like outside the app when the app is not actually running, but somebody wakes up in the morning and there is a notification, oh, there is a new document in this Chinese app, something, or I should only open the app to see notification.
Yeah, so it follows the native app's protocols. Apple's is the strictest, right? So the app platform itself supports their certificates required for the notifications, but they act the same way as the native app. So a lot of times your notification is simply that little red button or bubble that appears on the app itself to let you know that there's new content.
Okay, and the search in Chinese, is it working?
That's a good test. I haven't tested searching a Chinese term, but we should be able to highlight some text and try it pretty
I'll do it.
easily.
And when you mentioned just recent discussion about links to Bible and everything that's in English. What about Chinese? Is there any way for Chinese to look into first volume and then they see a verse and they want to press on it or just mouse next to it and they see Chinese Bible verse of that verse mentioned in the book? I don't know if there is a HTML of Chinese.
Yeah, so it's interesting what you're. Yeah, so it looks like it's finding the characters.
See that search,
there.
Roland?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's.
So it sounds like what your question is like, can I take a particular piece of content and bring up language options within that phrase or article? Is that what you're talking?
No, mostly a link, like we see in the text, like some, you see here, Psalm 89:14. So I want to see what's in that psalm and just a quick way to see that verse, whatever it is.
Yeah. So absolutely. There's a lot of different ways. So this thing will support any hyperlinks, whether it's in HTML or even in this case, if we had some embedded into the PDF, it will carry those through.
But they need to be done.
Yes, they would have to be programmed in there one way or the other. And obviously HTML would be an easier way to kind of deal with that.
Yeah, well, what Roland is saying, there are plugins, but they are mostly for the web content where they automatically find in the text. It's like a insert a little JavaScript that they automatically find Bible links and then they make them hyperlinks. I don't know if Chinese is supported though. It's probably, we just have to find a third-party, plugin that would do that, and then we can't reinvent the wheel for that.
Yeah, there's probably something that's a service or something that could be dealt with on that.
David?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A couple of questions. First of all, let me see. This was raised, but I didn't follow the answer. Does it seem to everybody that like China would censor it?
Yeah, my guess is there's a possibility. They censor a lot of content.
So anything Christian, they probably would. Is that right? Like the Bible, for example.
As I understand it, everything would be censored. But I have some contacts that could be very helpful in this area. There are holes in the Golden Dome. They call it the Golden Dome, the Chinese block on the internet, and it does go down every once in a while. So once we get this rocking and rolling, then we can come up with a strategy. And anyway, that's my thought. Go ahead. What's your next question, David?
So in other words, generally they would censor it, but there might be options. Okay, that's engaging. That's nice.
They would actually have to access, actually open the app and try to access the content, because unless they actually get into it, they may not even know what it contains. Keep in mind that the app is actually fairly light when it comes to the content. Nothing is downloaded until the user actually makes an action against it. Then it downloads. And then
Okay.
even in that case, it's not on the device very long if they keep accessing more and more content. There is a caching limit that it holds. Like I said, we can exceed that. We can actually cache all the content upon the app's initial download, but we don't have to do that. It's essentially, the app will be empty on the initial download, which will make it a very quick download, and it'll
Yeah.
only access content as they on demand.
So in other words, if somebody in China, before they censored it, saw what was there, they could download it and they'd have it on their own device, period, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay, very nice. Todd, how do you intend to promote this?
We're going to look for John and Roland and you and Aunt Mabel and everybody's help in figuring that out. Now, fortunately, that's kind of what we do for a living. So I've got resources. But one of the ways that I think that answers your question, both of your questions, David, is that we can promote this with a QR code that's imprinted on the inside front cover, let's say, of God's Grand Plan of the Ages. So one of the things that our ecclesia is going to do is print, let's just say, 40,000 Chinese God's Grand Plan of the Ages. And what we'll do is provide anybody around the United States or Canada with an unlimited number of God's Grand Plan of the Ages in Chinese that they can then take to a Chinese supermarket or a Chinese grocery store or a Chinese food store and put in the free literature section. Because if you go into your Chinese food stores or supermarkets, they always have a free literature section that we could put these books in, and then they could access it with the QR code. They could actually take a picture of that QR code, send it to their relative in China, and that's how that person could then access the app.
Thank you.
I will just suggest also, maybe for future later work, to look into some text-to-speech
Absolutely.
applications, and to have whatever we have text in Chinese, to have it audio version, to have a program to do it. And I know there are in Chinese very good ones. It's a big developed language, so that will be good to have, besides text version, to have audio version. Maybe people want just to listen, going to work, whatever. Yeah.
Working towards that ADA compliance, right?
Bob, will the Pixel platform support that, what Roland just suggested?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the videos already have closed captioning and some other things, but I absolutely love the idea of having it kind of read it, particularly like in a podcast style. If they don't have time to actually read it and they're traveling, they can listen to it.
Bob, go ahead, David. You don't have to raise your hand. We're not in church or.
Okay, well, just a simple question. If somebody does view a video from this app and that video was on YouTube, would YouTube reflect the fact that visitor has been there?
It should, yeah, because it's their link.
I got it. Okay, so it links right to the YouTube, so YouTube would recognize it and register as another view.
Yep.
Okay.
But you're saying it would also, the Twixel Media would also have some sort of analytics against that.
Yeah,
action
Twixel
too.
will just tell you that it was accessed through the app. So what you could do is obviously, you can compare those numbers, how many views came from the video itself on YouTube and how many came out from the device, right? The app, and then that'll give you your net, how many were outside the device that accessed it.
But can Twixel bypass VPN? I mean, because I know Chinese use VPN and they show, US address or IP, but it's actually Chinese. So, it's actually Chinese, not US customer account.
Right. So, some of the considerations about being global is you may have to have other hosting environments. May not be YouTube when you're going to a certain country. Might be a different platform, but this could support it. So keep in mind, when I told you it had that entitlement option in there, that entitlement could be based on region. It doesn't have to be based on a user group. So if we see that a certain region needs a different type of content or different set of content, we can hide the others and just push that content.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Good work. Yes, start going slowly, slowly will grow. The tree will grow. Yeah.
Okay, so we got to market this thing. And listen, Bob, we're going to put budget. I'm going to put budget against your assistance, and we really appreciate your very reasonable rate that you've given me to work on this. And who knows, you might just enjoy some of the stuff that you post.
I like the idea that you guys are able to contribute more content on demand as you like. That's one of the big reasons we chose this platform.
Okay, by the way, John Beval, did Tom Ridgerella drop a box off at your house for Julie to bring to the Fleming camp?
Oh, he was telling me something about it, but I told that one it's still in a week or something. So we'll have that
Yeah,
by the
that
time
would
we
be-
drive.
Yeah, that's really important. So, Brother David, for your information, we have a family that's having a Bible Students Youth Seminar here, and they are using the Herald Magazine Battles of the Bible. And I had, I think, 50 or 75 of those reprinted, and Brother John Beval is going to bring them. Okay, so listen, thanks, Bob. You're a blessing. And John Beval or Roland, do you have any other questions? Do you think might be a good platform for this project?
No, I think it's great. It's great. Starting from scratch for something like this, it's not worth it. So that's really good. It's really easy to maintain, low code, and it's really good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and this could always evolve more. And even if you decide that the content to be more native, it can support it. So this can grow a little bit with you.
Brother David, just for Bob's sake, by the way, David, you have a bird's eye view of the Bible Students Publishing effort worldwide. What does this mean for your personal ministry and for all of the ministries that you have across the world in Africa and everywhere?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that I'm really able to respond well to that. Everything looks very, very good. We do have website, of course, there's Bible Students Committee for Africa website, and there's a whole bunch of websites out there. So probably the content is up already somewhere. Even, don't you have most of the Chinese material up on a website somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah. So the matter is just distribution, how to access it. Now, I'm probably the last person in America that does not own a cell phone. And what I gather this is really directed for is cell phones more than anything else. Is that right?
Bob? Yeah. Actually, I don't know, Todd, if you've got your phone, but and with that Twixel app on it, but you can, all the same content's published on the phone.
Yeah. But John Beval publishes for that same purpose, of course. So so I'm not really able to gauge how this is going to supplement the other things that are available.
So and I'll answer that first, Bob. And one of the things that this will allow us to do, it'll allow a goof like me to be able to upload content and to edit content. And let's just say I wanted to do a webinar series, I could upload it right away, and which I believe is going to be a lot easier than to do it in a native app platform. Bob?
Yeah, actually, I'm just pulling it up on my phone right now.
Oh.
So all this content is all dynamically already being published to the phone format as well. So whether it's an Android or an Apple phone, it's just, again, we're using this easy tile display here to get there. And I don't know if I can share this. Let's see if I can actually get it shared on my
I can
screen
stop share.
first.
Do I have to make you a host? I don't think I do. I stopped shared.
All right, let me sync it to my computer first. Looks like I'm there. Now I'll see if I can share that screen. Where is the share option here? Oh, here we go, share screen.
Yeah, it's the green button.
Yeah, it says disabled. You've got participants screen sharing disabled.
Okay, well, it's okay. Well, listen, we're at time, We don't have to go through that. I don't think it's going to give us much value. Let me see. Any other questions? John Beval, I'm thinking we might ask you to close with prayer. Any other questions before we do that? By the way, Bob's mother-in-law passed away, right, Bob?
It was actually my wife's grandmother. She was 100 years old.
Wow.
Wow.
And is her funeral tomorrow?
Friday.
Okay. Well, John, I don't know if you're available to say the closing prayer, but if you can pray a blessing on Bob's family as they go through that grief and look for the resurrection.
Yes, I can right now.
Yeah.
Our loving, precious Heavenly Father, we thank you for everything what you do for us. We thank you for your love, for your mercy, for your care, for your protection, for giving us a hope in this world, for giving us a message that can strengthen our hearts and we can encourage each other. We ask to bless these efforts, that they might be a blessing for all those that are searching for the truth, searching for hope, and searching for you, Lord, so they can find you and glorify your name. We ask to be with Bob and his family as they are going through these experiences, and give them comfort and hope, knowing that you prepare the time in which all will rejoice and will be glad and will come back in harmony with you. Bless all of us, that we can be faithful to you to the end and serve you with all our being, minds, hearts, and everything what we have. We ask everything in Jesus' name.